Jeremie Beyou, the skipper of CHARAL, who today crossed in 13th position, returned with lucidity to his 4th Vendee Globe. He who paid tribute to those who stay at sea also evokes the future and aspires to find the adrenaline of racing as quickly as possible. He said it was a unique experience, fabulous. People asked me what were my worst memories, but in the end, you only remember the good times. I'm super proud, super happy with what I experienced. Psychologically, it was still not easy. You prepare a lifetime, and for once, with CHARAL, with this team, with this boat, maybe I had my chance. You can't erase this from your memory. It was necessary to manage as best as possible, that it does not take over and that does not prevent me from continuing to move the boat forward. Positive thoughts finally took over. And in the end, you know, the story is like this and you just enjoy the moment. It's a long experience, you go through all the states on a Vendee Globe. And I'm much more fit today than 80 days ago when I left. Coming back to the fleet was important. I still felt really isolated at the start. It's nicer to have competitors, otherwise you make a record and not a Vendee Globe. It was important to catch up. It already gives extra motivation when you catch up with the same weather system. Catching up with a competitor is done, but it sails well behind. If they are qualified for the Vendee Globe, it is because they know how to sail well. When I arrived, their speed increased a bit, you could tell they were trying to resist. In sport you can't win all the time, especially in sailing. Yannick won brilliantly, but there will be others. I had to play 9 Solitaire du Figaro before winning it. I don't know when that will take us if we are planning on the Vendee Globe. It's my story, but there are other races that have come more easily. There is no rule. When you see the podium today, without offending anyone, I don't think many people would have bet on it. From experience, I have a hard time letting go before I get there, so if it's going to take 9 editions, maybe I'll be around for a long time. I hope to be there on the next edition. When it was time to leave, I could have been disgusted because the experience was not easy to manage. I went there with a lot of humility and discovered the pride of playing small everyday battles. It made me fall in love with that race even more. In previous Vendee Globe, I had hardly communicated with my opponents. When you play in front, there is a psychological side, a little intoxicating. If you interact with the people next door, you can show your weaknesses, so you prefer to close the hatches. There, when you are behind, there is less pressure. I wanted to share, to see their way of seeing things, to understand what they were doing. My idol is Michael Jordan and he plays to win, otherwise he doesn't. There, I discovered that you could play, not to win but to go to the end of your project, your ideas, your convictions. This is the Sailing World on Water, February 12, 2021. Here are the highlights of the sport of sailing globally, in the last 7 days. Race favorite Jeremie Beyou, CHARAL, came home in 13th place, after starting 9 days behind the Vendee Globe race fleet. Romain Attanasio, pure best Weston, and partner of fellow sailor Sam Davies, came home in 14th place. Sam currently has crossed the equator heading home. She has retired from the race due to keel problems. Also retired and back home in the UK is Thomson on Hugo Boss. He has his boat designer on board, so that should help with boat designs. Quantum Sails Genoa, Vittorio d'Albertas, who were the sailmakers for American Magic, gives an emotional wrap to their America's Cup campaign. Thank you, Vittorio. The MC32s were in Florida for their regatta. And they were pumping. Down Under Sail covered the Sailors Champion League in Victoria, Australia, and we have their reports on day 1 and finals. Now over to Romain.
C'est trop quoi, c'est pas trop mais c'est dingue quoi, t'es à fond tout le temps, enfin tu vois, c'est pas que t'es à fond mais que t'es obligé d'être à 100% connecté, tu vois.
Stop pour le cours d'Est Weston, 17h heure d'arrivée, 17h 6 minutes.
Jean-Claude Van Damme il est aware, tu vois, bah là faut être aware sur le bateau pour faire le Vendee Globe, sinon il y a tout qui te pète à la tronche, enfin c'est... Il y a des pièges tout le temps quoi, à chaque fois que tu vois, tu checkes pas un truc, et ben ça fait une catastrophe quoi. Ah ça c'est très dur pour elle, c'est sûr, c'est ce qu'on se disait avec Ruben, hein, maman. On pensait qu'elle arriverait avant moi largement, et puis bah voilà, elle a eu un gros coup de pas de bol en tapant un truc en Afrique du Sud, et voilà. Je pense que c'est dur pour elle parce que d'être reparti comme ça et d'être si loin. Et je lui racontais, puis j'avais envie de lui dire je suis près de l'arrivée, je suis machin, et puis j'essayais de pas trop le dire parce que je savais que pour elle c'était difficile, donc bon. Oh c'est arrivé, ça, pendant des jours t'y penses en te disant faut pas que j'y pense quoi. Alors t'y penses et puis tu dis non n'y pense pas, parce que c'est ça qui est dur sur cette course, c'est qu'à tout moment tu te dis ça peut s'arrêter quoi. Et tu vois jusqu'à la fin tu te dis tout peut t'arriver quoi. Donc quand tu passes la ligne, tu te dis ça y est, j'ai réussi quoi, c'est bon. Il peut plus rien m'arriver, ça peut plus rien se passer. Ça y est, c'est fait.
Hello everybody, well just ahead of us is Ushant, and that means we're very nearly back into the English Channel. It's been a great voyage. We've sailed nearly 8,000 miles through the water, predominantly downwind, and it's been a very interesting learning exercise. Of course, downwind is a predominant condition for the Vendee Globe, and that's where we really want to learn as much information as we possibly can. As I said before, we've had Antoine from VPLP on board the boat, so it's given him a real opportunity to understand how the boat really does behave. You know, often in the simulator and in the VPP, the tool that's used to design the boats, it's not massively real. We sail in big waves, and on this trip, we've seen waves over 10 meters. So it's been great for Antoine to be able to really see what we have to go through on the Vendee Globe, how the boats really do perform, and in particular how this boat performs with its inside cockpit and the comfort that adds to the boat. One of the main things we've been focusing on, apart from trying to improve the simulator, is to try and predict and show us what settings are the fastest. And when I mean settings, I mean how much keel we should have canted, how much foil we should have out, how much angle we should have on the foil, etc. So what we've been doing is taking the live information from the boat, sending it back to shore, running it through the simulator, and then using machine learning, a bit like we do with the autopilot. The machine learning then is able to predict what settings we should be using. So it's involved sending an awful lot of data back and lots of toing and froing, but over time it's certainly improved an awful lot. And I can see a stage where in the not too distant future where we'll be able to have that on board the boat. And so when I'm super tired and I can't think what settings I should be having, this tool will be able to predict exactly what I should be able to use. So it's really interesting to be able to use this kind of technology and improve the performance. And over the next few years, I think we're going to see a huge change in the way these boats are sailed. So looking forward to getting back in the English Channel. It'd be great to get out of these waves and into flatter water, and really looking forward to seeing the family at some point tomorrow. Hi everybody, well as you can see, back in Portsmouth Harbour, the great Spinnaker Tower behind me, and it's great to be back home. 8,000 miles. I've learnt an awful lot, as we always do when we go sailing, and I'm looking forward to looking back at that data now and doing some analysis. But for me now, back home, spend some time with the family, and what's next? Well, the boat, Hugo Boss, will come out of the water into a service. It shouldn't take long. We have no major issues to report, apart from a bit of a tidy up of the repair that I've done, and then back in the water very soon. And I know a lot of you are asking what's next for me and the team. Well, there's an awful lot to think about. There's a lot of opportunities, and I'll be sitting down with my team over the next few weeks and talking about it, and as soon as I know, you'll know. Thanks very much.
Patriot short second life. It has been a miracle to put again Patriot in the water. It has been an incredible effort by American Magic team led by Silvio Rivabene. I like to mention him because he's Italian and he has shown an incredible leadership and organization ability in doing this. But in the end, the yacht was not the same as before. It was a boat that was able to compete, at least until the first bit of the final race, but it wasn't up to the level where it was meant to be competitive against Luna Rossa. Luna Rossa that has set the bar very, very high for American Magic. It has been too tough for American Magic to compete with a boat that was not enough stable, was not enough trained with the new parts, with all the replacements they needed to have to be able to compete against the duo of Bruni and Spitil, against the new role of Pietro Sibello, acting midway between strategist and tactician, even if the tactics are actually played by the duo Spitil and Bruni. There was no room for American Magic to compete. The speed was no longer there, so the very small edge of speed they shown in strong wind was no longer there because of Luna Rossa and because of the accident that happened to Patriot. This has been a sad end for a hugely funded and very well managed program like the one of the Americans. Terry Hutchinson is destroyed. The embarker is talking about taking a break and see what comes next for him in his career. So it's very, very sad to see that a team so strong cannot compete any longer. There have been talks about the cost of any single race of this boat in the America's Cup. That is actually not so fair. No, it's normal that when you compete in a cup with just two other challengers that are very, very strong as Luna Rossa and Ineos, you already plan that you can go out as the first boat. This can still happen. So there is still a meaning in making an America's Cup campaign. Anyway, even if it's very, very expensive per each race sailed. If you want to save money, you are not definitely doing this. Last, the sail program led by Jordi Calafat, which I believe it was a very strong sail program. It was the only quantum program and cannot compete any longer against the North programs. I still believe it was a very good one. Also, the Batman mainsail was a very good idea, and I am wondering if any of the other teams will copy it for some of their next sails, especially the ones for the America's Cup, where you can still race in 23 knots plus wind. That's kind of interesting. It has been a tough result for Quantum against Norses, obviously. It's a shame for us. It's a shame for me personally as well. But still, we need to recognize that it's a defeat also from this point of view. We need to recover and to find the strength to try to compete again in the same cup. The three partners behind American Magic, so Foth, DeVos, and Penske, they will most probably try again to do the cup next time. We will see if they succeed, if they have enough motivation to try to do it again, for sure. Seeing again a New York club competing would be really nice. But first, you need to recognize that there have been some mistakes. Most probably, some choices have been not enough brave for this yacht, and the crew organization has not worked as flawlessly as it is requested to compete at this level. This can still be a new starting point for American Magic team. We will see what happens, who wins the cup, and so on. But we'd like to see them back on the race course in 4 years' time. Ciao, bye-bye.
Great to be back in Miami and racing again.
Pretty happy to be back with the crew. Excited to be out of the house. Enjoying Miami this winter.
It is -4 degrees in Chicago. That makes it even better. We're obviously still in the middle of a pandemic, and so I just feel incredibly fortunate to be able to come down and do some racing.
I think everyone's pretty sensitive to the issues around safety. We're running a pretty tight protocol. I mean, I'm on camera right now, so I don't have a mask, but everyone's walking around in masks. We COVID tested ahead of time, and it feels, feels pretty safe. We're happy to be sailing.
It's a beautiful day out there today, and really good way to start the season.
It's the most fun you can have on the water.
It's a great group of guys. Yeah, they couldn't be nicer. Really, a spectacular fleet. Really, really proud to be part of it and excited to have a chance to go out and compete. I had a great time. Things are fast. We're just finding speed everywhere.
It's just racing out here in Biscayne Bay is a ton of fun anytime you can do it.
Great boat, and I wish there were 10 more. The more boats, the better. The more, the merrier, I think. Just great on the water and off the water. Everyone's really has a great crew, and everyone gets along.
Fun group of people. We get competitive and a little chirpy on the water from time to time, but I don't know if, as you can see kind of around here, everybody sort of enjoys hanging out and just having a good time once the racing's over.
It's really the perfect boat. It goes fast, but it's not crazy fast. You don't need a fully professional crew to sail them. We take them out with friends and family. It's just overall just pure excitement on the water.
Yeah, look, we've got 12 teams of different clubs. So out of that, we have only 6 boats. We then swap it around, so we've got like an A and a B, if you like. The first lot will go out in the morning, and the next group goes out in the afternoon.
Everyone's looking forward to getting out in the water. We've got a little bit of breeze, a little bit of swell down here at the northerly at Mornington. But yeah, 6 teams this morning and then another 6 this afternoon, so it should be some pretty fierce competition.
Pretty fun. Kites are a little bit sketchy at times, but you just got to be prepared and just keep speed on, and yeah, they're good fun. With the top gate, it makes it a lot more interesting. So a few decisions to be made all the time during the course. So yeah, we played the game all right and came out with 1 win. So we're happy with how we're racing, and just got to fix up some boat handling stuff. It's nice to be able to have group racing and just keep the racing going and peel them off. So hopefully things will go well for tomorrow.
First group had a bit on. There's a few gusts and things coming through. They were 20-25. A few boats lying on their side. We had 3 or 4 people overboard, so it was pretty exciting out there. Big waves to contend with. The beats were only 300 metres long, so it was short, sharp, intense racing.
final day of the Sailing Champions League Asia Pacific Southern Qualifier started with rain squalls and a 1-hour postponement, but after a short wait, sailors got on the water for another round of group racing. It was make or break as teams were putting in their last-ditch efforts to earn a spot in the 6-team final series. Making it into the finals was Chris Jackson from Mornington, Sam King from the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, 3 Sandringham teams led by James Sly, Harry Sly and Matty Goss, as well as Laura Harding from Blairgowrie. The first 2 races were sudden death knockouts for the last place boats, and unfortunately after a close call with the Tasmanians that resulted in a penalty and a crew falling overboard, it was young gun Matty Goss that was eliminated first.
We saw lots of improvement in the first race today. We started getting all our hoist jobs, all that kind of stuff really well. Getting used to the boats, some little mishaps here and there, but it's just getting used to the boat. So yeah, it's great format. Would love to come back and do it next year.
The second elimination race started in a close battle, but it quickly became the 2 top-seeded teams, Sam King from Tasmania and the hometown hero Chris Jackson from Mornington, battling it out to stay in the game. They had a great tussle and split at the final bottom mark, rolling the dice with the challenging shore breeze. But in the end, the Tasmanians picked up something special on the left-hand side, closer to the shore, and sent the home team packing back to the club.
I called it, hey, it's all on red. You know, we swiped the credit card here. We got no choice and we couldn't get back to them. And, you know, we just had to keep our lateral separation and hope the shift held in the right. Sudden death there and we thought we were doing it conservatively enough and we just had that bad one at the wrong time. So it's the way it goes. Really good to be out sailing with my daughter and great mate Dave Eichmeyer, Mel Hitchenhall, one of our local inspirations around the club, and would have been really nice to carry it up for MYC to the end, but there's some nice sailors out there and they do plenty of it. We're getting a little older in the tooth, so anyway, look, enjoyable weekend, great format, really good concept, and nice to wind back the clock and do some sailing.
The next step was for the final 4 to race off, where the first team to register 2 race wins would emerge as the overall victor. The racing was close, competitive and extremely fierce, with the sailors leaving nothing in the tank. Sandringham's James Sly and the Tasmanians, led by Sam King, traded blows to both take out a race win in the opening 2 races of the finals, setting each of them up with a match point and the competitive advantage. Then, after Sly suffered a jib luff breakage in the final moments of the pre-start of the 3rd race, it looked like we would see King run away with it or a race abandonment due to the broken gear. Eventually, PRO Steve Orlick pulled the pin, extending the grudge match that little bit longer. The Tasmanians took their sailing to another gear in the last race, and after an impressive start, stormed home to take an emphatic win and the overall victory of the Southern Qualifier.
Yeah, no, full credit to the team. I really owe it to them. They made me look good. Like Charlie, Alice and Chloe, amazing at their jobs. Yeah, that's true, we almost did get knocked out, but what can you say? Like we're just mousing it along, hiding our real speed. Like, you know how it is, Dennis Conner type stuff. Well, yeah, I had that worrying feeling of like, all right, we're in the lead now, and I had that twice in a row. So I think the second time around, I had a bit more coping power. But Chloe was in my ear the whole time. Everyone was talking to us, and she's just like, don't say anything silly. So she kept me from getting myself in trouble. Massive thanks to everyone who helped us, mostly the Royal Yacht Club of Tasmania, our families, Chloe for letting us stay, Musto for providing some gear, and yeah, just super stoked. And to all the organisers of this club, Mike Turnbull for getting this kind of thing running, and it's just, yeah, super great event. Stoked to have Tassie take it out twice.
See our Vendee Globe reports on youtube.com/World on Water, or our website, boatson.tv.